Hello everybody, it's Sam.
And Phil. It's like a film studio in here. He's like,
We're trying another light. What do you think? This is my best side.
for Sam's skin, isn't it?
As I get older, I'm going to need like
More lights.
a bank of lights. Yeah. Well, also these lights in here are not very flattering. It's fair to say they're those horrible flickery lights. So anyway, this isn't also the first.
No, we usually start with the weather update actually.
It's raining in Windermere, in case you wanted to know.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice next week. Just in time for the football to be back. The sun is coming back.
The reason for today's Ask AJ is because we've been asked a lot recently about holiday homes, selling a home, buying a home, potential of a holiday home, all those kind of good things. So we've just got a bit of an update to be able to put you in the picture if you are either selling or thinking of selling an existing holiday home, or you've got a home that could be somebody else's holiday home, and the things you need to bear in mind.
Yeah, so we'll start with the types of buyers we're seeing. Is there an increase in people wanting to holiday let, or is it increasing, or the other way? And what we've probably found is that the majority of people buying right now are buying as either their second home or their primary residence. It's probably a slight drop in the people that are buying for a holiday home. Probably because of the lockdown restrictions are still there in a lot of cases, but yeah, so that's been.
Yeah, and I think maybe a holiday home, a commercial holiday home, maybe doesn't look quite as attractive to people. Although, going forward, if you think about it, depending on the supply and demand, it could be more lucrative over the coming months or even years.
Definitely.
So I think somebody who's buying a home that is not already a holiday home and wanting to turn it into one is a bit of a speculator. It's an investor, and we've got to make sure that we use the kind of language that an investor wants to hear. Whereas somebody who's buying a home for their own personal second home, and then maybe even thinking about turning it into their primary home in the future at some point, they need to talk to in a different way. And this is where really our marketing comes in. We need to make sure that we're talking to the right people in the right way and showing the right photographs to the right people. And you know, for some people, floor plans is incredibly important. Other people, they have to have a view, they have to have a big garden. So, you know, it's trying to accommodate everybody and trying to work out what that particular buyer wants. And but we do tend to find that the majority of homes go for either a first home or they go for a second/commercial holiday home. Just because the type of home it is, because they're looking for very different things usually, aren't they?
What the options are there? A third home?
No.
A fourth home?
No, I mean, they're going for... So in other words, if we've got a home on the market, I'll explain to Phil as well as to you guys. If we've got a home on the market, we tend to get... All our viewers tend to be first home buyers, or all the viewers tend to be second home buyers. So, or, you know, holiday home buyers. So I think that there's a definite distinction between the kind of home that makes a good first home and the kind of home that makes a good
I get you. Okay.
holiday home. Okay, you with me now?
I'm with you. Yeah.
As you can see, we've practiced this so many times.
With particular properties.
Yes.
I'm with you.
Yeah, particular properties seem to lend themselves either way. For example, we've got an amazing home, hopefully coming on the market in the next few months. It's got the most incredible views. It's got huge potential. It would be great if a local bought that, wouldn't it? It would be great if somebody made it their home.
Where are we?
I can't tell you. Sorry.
What does it begin with?
Begins with wait and see. Right, let's just talk about the two. the one with the amazing views and the little deck, and we sat outside.
Ah, okay.
Yep. I think maybe people have got an idea in their mind of what a holiday home looks like. Maybe that's what it is. You know, it's a particular kind of home. So it doesn't tend to be a modern home if it's a holiday home. It tends to be more traditional. For example, whereas a modern home would probably appeal to somebody with a busy family that wants to live locally, for example. Not always, but there you go. So if a buyer came to us and they were wanting to purchase it for a holiday home, how could we help? Okay, so there's two different factors here. One is if you are selling a home that is an existing holiday home, we're just going to run through what a buyer wants to know from you. So the first thing a buyer wants to know is figures. It's really, really important that you have your figures ready. And they don't need to know every single little detail. They don't need to know how much you spent on, I don't know, light bulbs over the year.
It's headline figures, isn't it?
Headline figures.
We know that some people put all of their new furniture and expenses through the holiday let, and that's what we're not here to tell you what not to do, but a headline figure won't show all of that.
Yeah. So they probably need to know three figures. One is what the total revenue for the year is. 2 is what was spent to get that revenue, and 3 is the difference between the two, which is the net profit or gross profit.
And occupation rate as well, because by that you can work out can we push it a bit higher or what we can do with it.
Yeah, so we talked to somebody today who is taking £50,000 a year through their holiday home, which is a great income. And we can probably tell you that by about that size, it's probably pretty much up to capacity. It's rare to get a holiday home of a medium size turning over more than £50,000 a year, isn't it? But if somebody came to us with a decent size 3 bed and said it was only turning over, say, 10-15 grand a year, then we say actually you've got a load of potential there, which is again what a buyer wants to hear.
Yeah, and because we see quite a few, we can easily compare figures, can't we?
Exactly, yeah. We have sold holiday homes to people who wanted them as a first home, and so that begs another question. So what happens to those bookings when somebody takes on the holiday home as their first home?
Yeah, so depending on the company used, it's fair to say some if you have to cancel the onward booking, some companies charge for that.
Yeah.
Some are a little kinder, and depending as well in situations where if they can move them to somewhere else. But generally speaking, before you make the decision to sell, have that conversation.
Yeah.
I know we had one client, I might be putting a company in tricky situation here, but I had one client that was with a local company that negotiated that if they sold it to someone who didn't want to keep it as a holiday let, there'd be no penalty.
Okay, that's good.
So that's probably worth to have a conversation.
Yeah. The other thing is you might want to consider the negotiation power of your onward bookings. So you can actually maybe sell your book or negotiate the book into the your bookings. That means.
Yeah. So we have one that turns over 6 figures.
Yeah, we do.
So that obviously then.
Yeah. And it becomes part of the negotiation price, because actually if you're going to buy it in the summer, maybe you've got more bookings that are secure than if you buy it in the winter. Maybe now is not a good time to discuss that, but for say subsequent years.
It's going to be a hell of an influx though.
Yes, definitely.
Heck, isn't it?
Heck. Okay, so that is if you're buying or you're selling rather an existing holiday home. So the other thing I want to talk to you about is if you're selling a potential holiday home, which is probably by far what we deal with. And so what people want to know is, buyers and sellers, what does the seller need to have in place? What does the seller need to have ready in order to sell as a potential holiday home? And also the questions that a buyer has when they're considering buying a home to turn into a holiday home.
So what we're finding is the dream is to come up from Oxford, buy an amazing holiday home that brings in an income and you can still give it to your friends and your family to use. But that's all a dream, and people come up and then see a home they like and panic and say to us, what do we do now? Or how much is it going to cost? How much is it going to bring in? And we didn't know, did we?
No.
About 6 months ago. And these questions were becoming more and more frequent.
Well, the kind of questions were things like, what do we do about furniture? What do we do about cleaning? What do we do about getting the bookings in the first place?
Yeah.
What do we do about marketing the property? What do we do about decor?
It was stopping people making the next step.
Especially if they're a little bit further away, so they can't really manage a cleaner. If the cleaner phones in sick and they've got a commercial booking that week, what on earth will they do about it?
Yeah, and they're usually quite busy people. If you can afford an £800,000 holiday home, chances are you're quite busy at home.
They've probably got a busy thing to do, like run a business or something. Yeah. So, in order to be able to address all these concerns and obstacles and help people buy our homes more effectively, and this has been really successful for us recently, we created a whole new company, a sister company called AJ Retreats. And what AJ Retreats does is it manages that whole process for people. So we found that some people, if the owner of the home was moving on with all their furniture, you've got to furnish the whole house. How are you going to do that? So that's what AJ Retreats do. AJ Retreats sort out a cleaner. AJ Retreats use Airbnb for bookings. And we have heard anecdotally, and we've also got our own evidence, that Airbnb properties get far busier than actually local holiday home. Sorry, what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The company, than the ones that are managed through the local companies.
There's a much higher occupancy rate.
Yes, much higher occupancy rate. In fact, we put a little place on in Kendal, didn't we? That we managed the whole process for the owner, and it's only a 2 up 2 down in Kendal. We've called it Valentine's Cottage. And it just went. It was so many bookings, like literally back-to-back bookings.
People even tried through lockdown, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
It took a week, but we
and sometimes they were saying they were key workers when we thought that maybe they weren't. But anyway, we weren't allowed to say bookings. But yeah, so Airbnb obviously gets a huge amount of traffic, way above anything that a local company can do. We're not saying local companies aren't good, because they are very good for a whole different reasons. But one of the things that sometimes that you need as an additional to, if you're doing through Airbnb, which obviously the fees are a lot less, is you need those ancillary services adding back in again. So linen, furnishings, handyman, gardening, you know, those kind of things. Cleaning.
Yeah, so what we're finding now is the buyers are coming to us asking those questions, and then we can give them better answers, and the next stage then is for us to produce a report for them which goes through what we would expect income wise for them for that particular property for a year, which it turns the conversation into for them making an offer into an investment, and it makes a lot more sense for them. So the people that were on the fence of whether to make an offer, we're now finding we can nudge them towards making an offer with these reports, with the evidence.
And they can even borrow against it, because our report is, you know, it's a potential income report, and then they know where they are themselves. So they might think, well, I'll only rent it out for half a year then, because I'd really like to use it myself for all the, you know, busy weeks. And then they might look at our report and think, well, actually, Christmas could be a week not to use it, because that's going to be very lucrative for us. But you can make an informed decision if you've got the report, and this is the report we do for free. Whoever you're selling through, it doesn't matter. Whether you're selling through us or through another agency, we can still help you through HO Retreat. So it's a way of using our expertise, even if you're using a different estate agent.
Yeah, and
hopefully not.
No, and the second option as well is we went to see someone recently who didn't want to go through selling right now, so we could have the option of guaranteeing rent for that particular person, so they didn't have to think about selling. They could give us the keys and ignore it while still having guaranteed rental income, and then we can deal with all the Airbnb kind of things, and they can go and have a 3-year holiday and not have to think about certain things. So
so there's always another option. Yeah, there is always another option. What Phil's really talking about is something called rent to rent, which is where we become your tenants, but then we do the letting.
Yeah.
So that's another option as well. So if you didn't want to sell right now, or you're in a home that for some reason isn't particularly saleable right now, which this particular person was, and she just wanted to be able to walk away and get into a new life, a new chapter, she could afford to do that, which is great, but she didn't want to have tenants phoning her up every 2 minutes saying, can you come back to Windermere and help us?
No. So had a busy last 10 years, and
she needs a bit of time off.
Yeah, and it works really great for both parties, because hopefully the market's a little bit different in 3 years' time for her. We get another amazing home to rent out, and we
have found actually, we can say this much, that B&Bs and guest houses aren't selling that well at the moment. And I think because there's been a bit of a lag with them, you know, there's been quite a few come to market, and maybe that's going to continue after lockdown with B&B owners going, had enough. Or maybe they're going, actually, I'm not going to run it as a B&B anymore because I like the house to myself, which is what's happened recently. Somebody I know was saying that. I quite like it, I guess. But I think that, you know, they're not that easy to sell, B&Bs and guest houses, and sometimes they can take a really long time. We know somebody's had theirs on the market for 7 years. So if you haven't got 7 years ahead of you that you want to just spend on trying to sell your house, then this is maybe another option for you. Because what B&Bs do make are amazing holiday lets because of the en-suites and the, you know, facilities.
And it's another tool in your armoury.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
It's exactly right.
You
could say a weapon in your armoury, which is what,
that's
Surely
what
in your toolbox.
In 3 years' time to say...
Crane in your pencil box.
Say, look, this is no longer a B&B. This is a house or an asset that you can get an investment of, and this is what the investment we've had over the last 3 years, and there's evidence there, and there's already the system set up in place that if you want to just buy into that system, you can.
Because I think B&Bs, I think there was an influx of sort of maybe 20 years where B&Bs became a really great lifestyle option. I think Airbnb has taken over from that little bit, and now the best lifestyle is if you're not in the house at all, you're not having to make breakfast, you're not having to... I mean, we know so many B&B owners that are in, basically their living space is in the basement, in the worst possible part of their house. That's not lifestyle, you know, and these people who, if it's lovely and sunny, they're inside doing the laundry and cleaning the kitchen. That's not lifestyle. So this is a way of getting the lifestyle and still getting the income.
And it's going to be Christmas soon, so So thank you for watching. If you have any questions about anything we've said, please reach out, and you can either email us phil@ashdownjones.co.uk or
we have our own email address. It's phil@ or sam@. It's not phil sam.
Yeah.
That would be a bit weird.
We're trying to get a shared Facebook, but she's not having it.
We do know people who've got shared Facebooks, which is quite funny.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you very much for watching. If you've got a holiday home, or you're thinking about buying a holiday home, or you're thinking about selling a holiday home, talk to us first. That's all we say. So, see you on the next Ask AJ. Bye for now.
Bye.